Thank you for being with us here. I'm Ismael Alvarez from Partnership Realty with Hannah Stern.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back.
Thank you. We're going to go over today what is called 7 most important dates in an as-is contract. Okay, these dates are the most important dates on any contract whatsoever for residential or for residential contract. So here we're going to go over what's called. And we're going to show you where it's at, the 7 most important dates. You can find them for our realtors from Partnership Realty, you can find them in your Form Simplicity. So let's go in our Form Simplicity real quick, and we're going to show you where the document is at. These dates is something that you cannot go past, because what happens is your buyer, if you represent the buyer, will be out of contract, okay, and they'll be in breach of contracts. So you can't let the buyers ever be in breach of contract. So if a date's coming up and your buyer hasn't complied with that actual date, you need to get what's called an extension. So you have to extend, whether it's an inspection period, whether it's a loan commitment, anything like that. So we're going to go over the dates for a second. So here we are. This is your as-is contract right here. Sorry, this is your Form Simplicity. And you're going to go, let's start at, go to the home page for a second real quick. So we're going to go to the home page, and we're going to show you guys where it's located at. So the MLS is a little bit slow, just bear with us for a sec. But we want to show you where all the documents are at. And inside of all of our documents, if you go to blank forms right there, click on blank forms, and then you go to, as soon as it opens up, forms and packages. Now, it's only going to open up like about 10 of our forms and packages. So go down, and I need you guys to click on either 25 or 50. So you can click on, for example, 50, and that's going to show you all of our forms, okay? It doesn't matter who you're representing, a buyer, a seller, a tenant, new construction, land, contract, anything like, thank you, anything like that. So the first one is the 7 most important dates, and we're going to open that one up real quickly. You can actually download it and put it on your desktop. And then when you're going to fill out a contract, you have to have these dates already filled out in your 7 most important dates. So, for example, once the property goes under contract, which is the effective date, okay? Now remember, if there's an initial or a change to the contract, any initial requires a date right next to it, okay? So that would be the effective date. Not on an addendum and not on a rider. It's going to be on the contract itself. So let's say that the effective date is, you put in an offer today and the offer gets accepted tomorrow. So your effective date that you guys are going to write down there is February 4th, 2021, okay? So now, if it's a 30-day closing, we can automatically go all the way down to, I believe it's number 6, and might as well go ahead and put that one in. So we need to look at our calendar, and we want to make sure that our closing does not land on what's called on a Saturday or a Sunday. So we either need the Friday before or the Monday afterwards. So let's take a look at our calendar, and March 4th actually lands, we're fine, yes. So let's go ahead and put there March, 5th, 2020. So let's go ahead and click that in, write that in. So we've got 2 items already filled out. Now let's go back to the second one. Bylaws, condo bylaws, okay? Condo bylaws are what's called the rules and regulations, okay? And you need and that's 3 days. For a resale, it's 3 days. And where do you find the rules and regulations? You got to get it from the seller or the listing agent. Most listing agents will put it right under documents and attachments. So you'll find it in the MLS, okay? If not, you've got to call the listing agent to get it from the seller. It's 3 days. You got to get that to your buyer within 3 days so they can read the bylaws. And we're talking about last year's bylaws and or rules or regulations. And they have the right to read it and see if they want to continue with this purchase or not. Now, what happens if the listing agent doesn't have it? What happens if the actual seller doesn't have it? Well, you guys need to call the HOA. Now, what happens if you can't get a hold of the HOA? Because a lot of HOA members on the small communities aren't here. They're living in other states and things like that. Well, go to a previous listing, something contingent, something pending, or something closed within the last 6 months, okay? And a lot of these listing agents will have it there. So you can get the bylaws for that community under, another listing, whether it's a pending, contingent, or, or it closed, okay? Now, let me ask you guys a question. What if you can't get it under pending, contingent, or closed? What if the listing agent doesn't have it? What if the seller doesn't have it? And what if there's these HOA, like, we had one time where we called the HOA the president, and he was just not available. Let me put it that way. Wasn't available. You guys need to talk to your buyers and make sure that your buyers are willing to continue with the purchase of this property, okay, without those bylaws. It's very important. So you need to get that sort of in writing, that they're moving forward with the purchase of this property, whether it's a text, an email, or a document that they signed, okay? So now it's 3 days. So let's put down on number 2, February 8th. So let's put down 2/8. So we know we need to get these bylaws to our buyer by that date, okay? On new condos, it's not 3 days, it's 15 days, okay? So inspection periods. Inspection periods are, I recommend anything under $500,000, okay, to do it within 7 days. Imagine you submitting an offer right now to a seller and telling them that you're going to take their property off the market for 15 days. I don't think a seller would be too happy with that, okay? Or a listing agent would be either. So I recommend 7 days for any property, $500,000 and under. Now, on a property like $1 million, $1.5 million, or $2 million, anything up like that, buyers like to be present. And sometimes because of their schedules, and see, they're in a different type of financial status that they just can't leave their job from one moment to the other or one day to the other. So I recommend 10 days, okay? So anything like, for example, $750,000 and up, like for example, 10 days, $500,000, $1 million and up, 10 days. But try to get it done as quickly as possible, But you want to write down at least the inspection period here, February 11th, 2021, okay? Inspections are something that, honestly, the client doesn't really need to hire an inspection company. They could do it themselves. They have the right to do it themselves and see if they want to continue with the purchase of this property or not, okay? Now, I talked to a realtor yesterday that came here, and she says to me, Ismael, I've got 12 closings for this month, okay? So something extremely important, this actual document right there should be in front of all of your files, because this is what's going to keep your files intact and it's going to keep your clients inside the contract. And they're not going to be in breach of contract. They're not going to be out of contract. These dates are extremely, extremely important, and you guys as realtors need to be on top of these dates. And if they're not in front of your file, the problem is out of sight, out of mind. So if you miss on one of these dates, what happens? Your client's out of contract. And you don't want none of these contracts to ever, to be in breach of contract. So you want everything done on a timely manner.
Is there a form where you can list all these dates? I remember.
Yeah, they're right there on your Form Simplicity, as I showed you. It's that form right there, and then you can actually type it right in. I actually gave it to you manually, so you can handwrite it in, but you go to Form Simplicity, as we just showed you, yeah, and you can just actually write this in. And especially if you've got, for example, let's 4 deals, 5 deals. You want this form in front of your deals, because again, if it's out of sight, it's out of mind, and that only causes problems. Here at Partnership Realty, what we're trying to do is we're trying to make this the most pleasant experience for everybody involved. Our clients, the listing agent, the seller, the title company, all parties involved. And the only way that we can make this the most pleasant experience is how? We have to have these dates in front of us, and we can't miss one of these dates. So inspection periods, we know it's February 11th, 2021. Now, loan commitments. Loan commitments are the ones that mostly, I skipped number 4, the application. Let's say that there is an HOA, correct? If there's an HOA, I recommend that you turn in the application with the fees after the inspection period. There's no reason why you should turn it in prior to the inspection, because the buyers can turn around and come back and say, well, you know what, we really don't want to buy the property. And usually it's between $100 to $150 per person. So if there's a couple there, okay, or if there are two people in that application, that's $300. It's really hard to get that money back from the HOA. So turn the application in and turn with the money, turn it into the HOA so the buyers will be approved the day after the inspection. So if our inspection here is, we know the inspection period is due on the 11th, let's do the HOA application on the 12th. So February 12th will be the date that we want to go and hand over. Now here's something again that I recommend to the realtors. A lot of realtors will allow their clients to go and turn in the documents to the HOA. I don't recommend that. Okay, I recommend that you have your clients fill it out, get the money orders or whatever they're requesting, and you guys go return it in to the HOA, because you can't close on this deal without that certificate of approval. Okay, and sometimes they're taking 20 days or more to get approved. Okay, and buyers don't understand that they're under contract. A contract is a legal binding document. Okay, and we have to comply with these dates. So buyers don't understand, the urgency of getting these documents in to the HOA or the management company, on a timely manner. So I recommend the realtors to actually go pick up the checks, not the checks, they're usually money orders, pick up or checks or money orders, and pick up the application itself and go and turn it in. So it'll be there on a timely manner. So you do want February 12th written down, so that way you won't forget, oh geez, I never did get, because you can't close on that property with that HOA approval. Yeah, certificate of approval. You can't close on it. So that'll cause a problem, So loan commitments. Loan commitments are CTCs. What is a CTC? Clear to close. Probably the most beautiful words that a realtor could ever hear. Well, you've got a CTC, boy, let's go. You get excited there because, we're ready to close. Go celebrate, okay? But if there's a loan commitment due, and loan commitments, I recommend them within 20 days to 25 days, okay? Your closings are within 30 days, so your loan commitment has to be within at least 25 days, right? The loan commitment can't be the same day of closing. Why? Because even if you get a CTC, now the file has to go into quality control. The quality control actually does it pretty quickly, but then it goes to the closing department of that mortgage lender. So it's not like the closing department is going to be sitting there and they're not going to have any files. They might have 200 files in front of yours. So it's going to take them about 24 to 48 hours to prepare the documents to send to the title company. And then the title company is not sitting around with no files on their desk. They might have 50, 60, 70 files on top of their desk, okay? And besides, the buyers have the trig law, which is 3 days, 72 hours they need so they can review the closing documents. So we need to get all this stuff done on a very timely manner so all of this goes into place, and we are complying per these contract dates, A lot of occasions, for example, if we don't get that loan commitment in time, then there are so many backup offers right now, especially in South Florida, with our market being as explosive as it is, okay, that the seller might not want to extend or give you an extension on the loan commitment date because they have a better backup offer. So you want to make sure that all this is done on a very timely manner. And again, how do you know this? Because of these dates right there. So let's use 25 days. So we're going to put March 1st, 2021, okay? What happens if you get a loan commitment, let's say around February, let's say 28th or something like that. So if you get a loan approval, not a CTC, here's something that you realtors must do, okay? You have to contact that mortgage broker, whether it's through a text or an email, and actually thank them for sending us this old loan approval over. But at the same time, I'm going to ask the mortgage broker or loan officer, good morning, good afternoon, thank you for the loan approval. I see that there are still some outstanding conditions. Okay, so based on these outstanding conditions, is our client going to be able to comply with these conditions so we can close per the contract date? This is extremely important that you get it in writing. And how do you get it in writing? That's through a text or an email. And then all that I truly need is that loan officer to say, yes. I don't need a sentence or a paragraph or a full book or anything like that. Just, yep, not a problem. Now we know that it's going to close per the contract date. Because us as realtors, we hold the responsibility not only to our clients, but we hold it to the listing agent and to the seller and to the title company. So we need to know how to answer back to the listing agent and give them updates. Give the seller an update. Why? Because the seller could be turning around and and has an offer on another property. And now the seller's purchase is contingent upon the sale of his home. So how important is it for realtors to have updates? I've seen in occasions where loan commitments have come in or approvals with outstanding conditions, and the clients have not been able to meet those outstanding conditions. What do you have at that point? You've got nothing. You've got a worthless approval. So realtors will come in and say, I've got an approval. Yeah, but you need to find out, are the outstanding conditions that the client is going to be able to comply with? Are they going to be able to meet? And are they going to be able to meet it on a timely manner? It's extremely important that you guys, as realtors, you ask that question, because you need to know what's going on with the file at all times. At all times. So how are you going to do that again? Via a text or an email. Good morning, good afternoon. Thank you for that loan approval. Okay? And you're going to ask them, is our client going to be able to meet these conditions that are outstanding? And are they going to be able to meet it per the contract date? So now you know that everything is moving along perfectly smooth. Okay? Now, if you guys get the CTC, I would say go celebrate. Why? Because you got to clear the close. Okay? So you really don't need, But what if this date, which is March 1st, is coming around the corner, and we don't have an approval yet? You guys need to get an extension for the loan commitment, and you need to get an extension for the closing date. You need to extend it. And I've seen where people have made mistakes, and they put down, for example, they've gotten an extension for the closing, but they didn't get an extension for the loan commitment. You got to get an extension for both, not just one. Okay? And they can't land on the same date. They cannot land on the same date. So it's got to land, like for example, loan commitment has to be one date, and then maybe 5 days later, the actual closing date. Okay? So you always have to get extensions, whether it's a inspection, whether it's the condo bylaws, whether it's the HOA approval. If we don't have that certificate of approval yet, we need to get an extension. At that time, we need to get an extension for everything. Loan commitment, estoppel letter. It could be any of all the factors that are involved.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, sure.
In my community now, we have a POA and an HOA.
Correct.
Like 15 communities.
Yes.
Now, the POA recently said that the buyers have to pay $1,000 to the POA.
Yes.
That's all of a sudden I can.
It happens.
So now, where do I interject that in my listing?
In the listing, well, you want to put it under there. Like for example, in
Broker
the public,
remarks, you can do that.
broker or yeah.
I should put that in, right?
And public remarks as well too, because
Absolutely, disclose it,
the buyer needs to know. The buyer truly needs to know about, But again, is that something? Is something that it's negotiable as well too? Because I've seen where sellers have actually covered the cost.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen sellers have covered it. Yeah.
Maybe if the seller doesn't want to do it, maybe, if the buyer doesn't want to pay that.
Right.
and the
Sellers have
seller's
covered
not
it.
gonna come up
And
with
it can't be a reoccurring, it can't be also a reoccurring cost. Because the buyer needs to know that when they go to sell, they're going to have the very same expense. So you need to disclose it. It needs to be disclosed. It needs to be disclosed. But if it's a one-time thing, if it's a one-time assessment, and it's not a reoccurring cost, when they go to sell, then you're fine. Then you're fine. But it has to be disclosed, yes. Again, the closing dates are going to be, it's got to be extended if we're not going to close per the closing dates. But we really should try to comply with all this and meet all this. And the only way that we're going to meet all this is if we're on top of our files with the dates in front of them. Hard copies are no longer, we're paperless. So we're paperless. Our industry is completely paperless. But this document is going to be inside your folder. And you're going to be looking at it, okay? And even if you want to print it, if you want to print it and just have the actual document, the 7 most important dates, just in front of you. Because again, out of sight, out of mind is not a good term. That's a terrible term, okay? So, and then number 7 will be your inspiration on making sure that all these dates are complied with. Because you will not make it to number 7 if you haven't gone through 1 through 6. You won't make it to number 7. But it's certainly an inspiration. If you got 3, 4 closings going on, or for example, the realtor from yesterday, she's got 12 closings going on, okay? You will be on top of these dates. You will be on top of these dates. One more item real quickly on number 5. Realtors need to be texting and emailing loan officers at all given time, okay? Soon as it goes, the property goes into contract, you need to be contacting that loan officer or that mortgage lender, okay, and finding out how's the file coming along. Do they need any type of help, okay? So on a weekly basis, you guys have to have proof. And how do you do that? By email or a text. Good morning, good afternoon. How's our file coming along? Has the appraisal been done yet? When's the appraisal going to be ordered? Just find out, are there any outstanding conditions that our client needs to bring you so you can have a quick CTC, okay? Realtors just can't turn in a file and turn their back and walk away from that file. That is the biggest mistake a realtor can make. So what does a realtor do? Stays on top of that loan, of that loan officer. Besides, it's our responsibility because again, as I mentioned before, you guys have to have answers, okay, and updates for your listing agent and for the seller and for the title company as well too, okay? So this document right there is a very important document that you guys have. And, if you have any additional comments and stuff like that, you can put it at the bottom. Any notes that you want to think of, and
For
remember.
example, if you had to extend the closing date, then you can put the new loan commitment date and the new closing date.
Exactly. So if you have to extend it for the commitment and the closing date, you just slice that out and put in the new loan commitment date and put in the new closing date. But this document right here is the one that's going to help you guys stay out of harm's way, not getting in trouble. But realtors think, that probably just writing up a contract and just letting it, no, it's not like that. We have to stay on top of the contract. And how do you do it? With that particular document right there, okay? So we're going to show you guys real quickly now an as-is contract. So an as-is contract is actually, you go to Forms and Packages right there. And let's say you represent a buyer. So we're going to go down for a second, go all the way down. And I want you guys to click on 50 again. Something that I want you guys to get familiar with are all the documents, all the packages that we've got prepared for you. Whether you represent a seller, or you represent a buyer, a tenant, okay, a landlord, you represent, you're purchasing, a commercial piece of property or leasing a commercial piece of property or vacant land. Every single document is there for you guys. Every package is there so that you guys, whatever you guys need, okay? But in this case here, we're representing a buyer. So we're going to go to the buyer's package right there. And let's say that this property, well, we have to have a property selected already. Mm-hmm. We've got to have a property selected already in the MLS.
So let me go to the office listing so we can select the property.
So we're going to go into Flex there, or Matrix, whichever one you guys are working with. And office listings. Now, for example, we're just using an example here of our own office listings, but you guys, will have an MLS listing already picked out. So we're just going to pick one out here for the class sake randomly. And we're going to use that one as an example.
Yeah, let's use this one.
So here's a good one here. And let's say that we want to sell, this is a condo. So there's definitely an HOA. You guys need to look and see when it was built for the lead base, because if it was built before 1978, and this one was built in
1990.
Yes, so we don't need the lead base. Anything before 1978, we do need the lead base. But this is a condo, so we need a condo rider. So we're going to go now into our form packages, our buyer's package, and we're going to need two documents. What's the document we're going to need? It's going to be the as-is contract, so we're going to select the as-is contract.
Let me just try to import the information.
Okay.
So in order to import this information, let's just go straight to the MLS listing and let's click more. It's going to show us this option, Form Simplicity, right here.
Correct.
Let's just click on that. And here we'll see all the information. Let's just, something that I would suggest is just go straight to the property appraiser website and you can compare and just make sure the information is correct. Then we can just keep scrolling down. We're gonna have the seller information, but I'm gonna go all the way to the bottom just to get the purchase price. So let me see. This property is 310.
310.
So let's pretend that we are going to make an offer for the 310.
Correct. Something else that I want to show you guys. That particular property, for the owner of the property, it said owner of records. That's actually fine. Okay. Most listings you'll find where it says withheld. What happens if there's someone that works somehow law enforcement or something like that? Of course, their information is going to be withheld. So you're not going to have the owner's names in there. So truly, all that you guys really need to write down, if you guys can't find who that owner's name is, let the title company handle that. So it's really simple. Forgive my penmanship, which is horrible. Owner of records. Just write that down. Owner of records. Okay. Now that'll cover whatever entity or whoever's the owners of that property. Because it could be an estate, it could be a trust, it could be a corporation. It doesn't matter who it is. So again, it could be a sole owner or so forth. But just put down owner of records, and that will cover anybody whatsoever.
Okay, so while Ismael was explaining the owner of records, I went ahead and filled out the information for the buyers. Make sure you add the email, because since we're paperless now, this is all gonna go through email. And make sure you hit save to transaction
Right.
at the bottom. We're gonna create a new transaction and we're gonna name it the same as the address.
Correct.
And we're gonna select this is a residential property and this is actually a purchase. Save to new transaction. So we have now created a new
Correct.
file for this purchase, and now we're gonna proceed to add the actual documents that we need. We just go here to add forms package, and let's click on buyer's package. Since we're buying, we're going to select the as is and the condominium rider.
Yep.
Since there's an HOA.
Now, how do you guys want to do this? You guys want it to be financed, or you want this transaction to be a cash deal? Cash deal, here's the great thing. Either or, whether it's financed or it's a cash deal, filling out a contract,
It's very simple.
it is so quick. It takes you less than 10 minutes. The only way it's going to take you a lot more than 10 minutes is if you guys have not practiced it at home. and if you guys not watch these videos, okay? The more you practice it, the better you're going to get, okay? But it should truly take you no more than 10 minutes. The reason it's taking us a little bit more than 10 minutes is because we're actually explaining everything in part by part. But truly, at home, you guys should be able to write a contract within less than 10 minutes. It is amazing how simple and easy it is. But again, you guys can practice this at home. Just grab any property, okay, and use it as a test trial, and write as many of them as you can. You can't harm your form simplicity. And then we could always go back and select it and delete all these form packages. You could actually delete them, you know, because they were just test trials, okay? But the more you practice it, the better you're going to get. The least you practice it, then you guys are going to be there for hours. So what do I do next? No, just practice it at home, and you'll see how quickly you could do this.
Okay, so I'm just going to keep those two, and I'm going to add these documents to the transaction.
So are we doing a cash deal or finance? Which one do you guys feel comfortable with? Do a cash deal?
Cash? Okay.
That's a 2-minute. It'll just take 2 minutes to fill this out. Cash is 2 minutes. Let's do a finance. Let's do a finance.
All right. So I'm going to go over the assets contract now.
Here's the best part. 70% of this contract is already filled out because she imported all the information over from the MLS listing directly into the assets contract. So 70% of your contract is truly filled out. You're down to 30% now.
Okay. I went ahead and added the buyer's information, so that's why you can see it over here in line number 2. Let's keep scrolling down. The property description, as I mentioned before, make sure that this is all accurate, and you can do that by reviewing everything in the property appraiser's website. Let's continue scrolling down, and here on line 20.
Very important. Don't forget to put in the washer and dryer or any, you know, chandeliers, draperies, you know, curtains.
Whatever that it's attached.
Yes, whatever, right, you guys want to keep.
Fixtures.
Yes, anything that you guys really want to be kept. And here's another thing I truly recommend. Take photos of that expensive chandelier, okay? Because you don't want to come in a day prior to closing or when you're walkthrough and that, you know, yeah, that $8,000, $15,000 chandelier has just been replaced for a Home Depot, you know, I don't know, $15 a little, you know, so you don't want that. So make sure you take photos and you actually write it down. You write it down right there where we're just showing you washer and dryer, you know, whatever, you know, custom draperies or whatever we want to be included. Here's something really important. If you guys look at all these numbers, right next to the numbers, there's little asterisks, okay? That means that those actual lines are important. They're very important. If not, Florida Realtors would not put a little star next to it because it's not important. So if you see an actual line with the number and an asterisk right next to it, guess what? It needs to be filled out. It needs to be truly filled out because, you know, it's important. If not, they wouldn't put this on there. So you can look at number 23, and we're going to go 23 for a second. If there's something that's not going to stay, we want it included in there. What if we're a listing agent and they sent us an offer and we don't want it to stay, it's not part of the sale, then you're going to type it in right there, you know, what we don't want that's going to stay, okay? So now we're going to go right there to number 26, and it's the actual purchase price. So 310, we're offering full price because we're, you know, we feel the property is well worth it. And nowadays it's a seller's market. I can't tell you how many listings, you know, how many offers we have to offer up above and beyond because it's a seller's market. I think you had a listing not too long ago. You had 14 offers.
After 24 hours.
24 hours, 14 offers.
I would say 85% of the offers were basically over the asking price.
Exactly.
So just do your highest and best.
Exactly. Make sure you put in your highest and best because you only have one shot to get this property. We're in South Florida, guys. We are near the coastlines here. We've got the most beautiful waters, weather. Are you kidding? It's south. We just got back from Nevada, California. It was cold as heck. I could only be there for truly 10 days or less. I am not into all that hard work and all those clothing and stuff. This here, we're in the winter. I love it. So we're in paradise. We're in Hawaii. It's just we don't have the volcanoes sitting around us here, you know. So
let's continue to line 27.
28, yeah.
So we're talking about the escrow deposit.
The
here?
escrow deposit. So you want to put in there, like for example, $3,000. Then you want to click on there. This is to be made, okay, within 3 days. Now you guys know you only have really 1 day, but you want to get it in there as quickly as possible, but it needs to be there within 3 days.
Since this property, sorry that I
No problem.
interrupted, is located in Aventura, that's Broward and Miami-Dade. So in Palm Beach County, seller is the one who chooses title, but in Broward and Miami-Dade, it's the buyer who does. So
Correct.
I'm gonna go ahead and input our information for the title company.
Correct. Why? Because the buyer gets to choose title. So Broward and Dade, buyer chooses title, but Palm Beach County, Martin County, and St. Lucie County, the seller picks title. Seller picks title. So if it's where the other party's picking title, you can actually also put TBA. You can actually put TBA in there, so to be announced. You know, if we don't know what title company is actually going to be doing the closing, so we can put in there, we can put in there just TBA. Until we know what title company, then we got to go back in there. So we'll just put TBA, so to be announced. Okay. Now, when we find out, once our offer gets accepted, you guys need to go back in there and fill out this whole entire section right here. And this section, if you look at it, it's starred from 32 all the way down to 36. It's actually starred. If there's an asterisk there, that means it's important. So we got to go back in there once we find out who the title company is, and we have to put in there, partnership title and escrow, LLC. And then we have to put down the address, cell phone, email, and fax number. Now, we're not going to fill all that out because it's just a test trial here we're showing you guys. But you do have to fill it completely out. You have to fill it out completely, okay? So now, a condo. There are condos that you can get away with 10% down, 5% down. And there are other condos that you need 20% down. Depending on the lender, depending on the condo, there are condos that don't meet lenders' guidelines, like, for example, reserves and so forth. The condo questionnaire just doesn't meet the lenders. You guys need to know the lenders, and there are lenders that will finance these condos even if the condos doesn't meet the proper requirements. Okay, so the reserves don't have to be intact and so forth. They will meet it. So let's do a situation here where we're putting down
Conventional, 20%?
conventional loan, 20% down.
So that's 62,000.
So 62,000.
Is the down payment.
So
we need to subtract 62,000
from 310.
310.
Correct.
So that equals 2,000 and
248,000.
oh,
So our loan amount is going to be $248,000.
we're gonna add this number and the line 38,
Correct.
and automatically line 41 will change.
Right. Watch what happens. There it is.
So if you add up line 41 and line 27, that's
15
gonna give you your down payment, 59,000 plus the 3,000. That equals the 62,000.
Now remember something, guys, as well too. Okay, when you see that, that's just the down payment. Buyers got closing costs. Okay, so most buyers, you guys need to let them know, sir, ma'am, folks, that's just the down payment. Now you've got closing costs involved. So on a finance deal, I'd say use about 3% as a rule of thumb, and you'll know what the closing costs come out to. So closing costs on $310,000, it's pretty simple to figure out. 3% times 3 times 3, it's about $9,000. So you want to figure that they're going to need $59,000 Okay, sorry, $62,000 plus an additional more $9,000 to be able to purchase this property. Okay?
Okay. So let's continue to line 45, which is the time of acceptance
Correct.
of the offer. Usually what we recommend is given 2 to 3 days.
Correct.
So that would
To
be
the-
Friday the 5th.
Yep.
And then for the closing date, which is line 52,
We already predetermined that because we filled out the 7 most important dates.
So offer 3 days?
Yes, yes. Yeah. You don't leave that open ever, okay? So I would say 3 days. It's the most, yeah.
for the time of
On or
acceptance.
about.
Pardon me?
On or about.
On,
That's exactly
for
what
the
I was
closing
going
date,
to
yeah.
mention afterwards. So for the closing date, what you can do is just put on or before
correct.
March 5th. And then if everybody, I mean, all the parties are ready to close before that, then awesome. So let's continue to page 2,
Very important here.
line 77. So let's make sure that we click on may not assign this contract.
Correct. Don't ever leave that open. So do make sure you put in there may not assign. Because you don't want someone coming, an investor, one of these creative investors, coming and trying to flip your property or play with your contract. We are not going to allow that because, first of all, you know, sometimes I've seen up to 5 deals ride on one deal. It starts with your deal first. And then that seller's buying another seller's property, and that seller's buying another seller's property, and it turns into a dominoes effect. And if this property doesn't close, the deal number 1, then you're talking about a nightmare for a lot of families and a lot of individuals, okay? So make sure that, again, look at this. It's starred. It's got to be important. It's got to be important. So please put in there, may not assign.
Okay, so let's continue to line 86. I mean,
82. If it's
82,
cash,
yeah.
you'll put in there buyers buying cash. But this was not cash.
So
It's fine.
let's go to 86 then, and let's select option B, and then we said we were going to do a conventional loan. So let's
Correct.
select conventional. And line 87, let's make sure that the loan commitment date is not the same day as the closing date,
Correct.
as we said in the beginning.
25 days is more than ample time, or 20 days. 15 days and 10, that is unheard of. Don't get yourself in a bind. 10 and 15 days. You're asking a lot from that lender. You know, you got to get an appraisal done and things like that, and the market is really, really busy at the moment. So make sure 25 days. You know, if we get the loan commitment prior to that, great. But if not, at least 20 days minimum.
We've got plenty of time.
Yeah, plenty of time.
So let's continue to line 88. Let's make sure that we select the fixed interest rate. And on line 89, let's just put MKT.
Yep. We're
Which means
saying
market.
exactly.
Let's just let the lender handle the interest rate for our clients.
Correct.
And then on line 90, let's just put 30 years.
Might as well put it in there. If you're filling this out, completely fill it out. I, as a listing agent, when I see offers come in and I see where a contract is not completely thoroughly filled out, you know what that tells me? That actually tells me that that buyer's agent doesn't know what they're doing. So how good is that buyer's agent with the contracts? That's telling me exactly how good their pre-approval might be too. Because if they don't have the experience in filling out a contract, then they probably don't have the experience on pre-qualifying someone. But when I see an offer, thoroughly filled out, that makes me feel very confident, and that makes me, be able to explain it to my to my sellers. This looks really good. It looks like she's got experience. So you want this thoroughly filled out. Don't leave anything open, especially if it's starred.
Okay. Well, let's move to line number 91. Usually, offers now are submitted with a pre-approval letter. So I'm just going to put done.
Yes. That means that the client has already been pre-approved for this loan. Can you imagine if you're the listing agent, this comes in with a 5 on it? That means you, the listing agent, and your seller is going to take the property off the market for 5 days to see if that buyer can get pre-approved. Are you kidding me? No, I don't want to see if, get your buyer pre-approved first and then, send in the pre-approval. So you're letting the listing agent know and you're letting the sellers know, or seller, they're already pre-approved. Done.
Okay. Let's move to page 3. And since we're representing the buyer, and if you're going to charge a transaction fee to the buyer or buyers, then just go to line 144 and add your transaction fee, which
Correct.
let's just say is $3.95 for this case. Okay, and let's just fill out
Might as well, yeah.
line
Fill it out.
145.
No,
Oh.
you put 145, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, 15 days there. That's title evidence, okay? Don't leave it open. Again, fill out the contract. It just makes you look a lot more professional. It doesn't matter. That's not a really important area to fill out, but it just, you should fill it out, okay? So go ahead and keep going. And this is where we were talking about earlier. If it's Palm Beach County or St. Lucie or Martin County, seller picks title. But if it's Broward or Dade, buyer picks title. So this property is in Aventura, so it's Dade County.
So we're going to click on
Buyer sale.
162, line 162.
Excuse me, where would that $1,000 fee go?
The 1,000, you're not going to give it to them yet until you find out the title company. It goes to the title company.
$1,000?
Yeah, who's doing the closing.
You mean for the special assessment that we were discussing
Oh, for the
previously?
It's going to go to the to whatever the special assessment is. You know, it's going to go to the HOA.
Does that go anywhere on the contract?
Yes, but not specifically in the contract. You can go to the addendum that pertains to the HOA, and there's a section that goes regarding the special assessment, so make
Correct.
sure you disclose it there.
Or put it on page number 12,
Oh,
on line 571,
that also you can do on the assets contract.
on the assets contract. Go to line 571 under additional terms and just write it in there. It's good to repeat yourself.
Yeah.
The more you repeat it, the better chances you've got of someone saying, oh, I didn't know. Are you kidding me? It's in
Yeah.
the rider, and it's also on the as-is contract.
And also, if you're the seller, usually you have to fill out the seller's disclosure.
That's right.
So you can also add it there. There's no way that they won't say they
Yep.
didn't see it because it's in 3 different documents.
Yes, seller's property disclosure, the as-is contract, and the rider, the
And
HOA
also
rider.
the MLS, so you can
Yeah.
just let the realtor know up front that there's an additional
Correct.
fee.
So even though we're skipping through these pages and these paragraphs, you guys really need to get to know what they are. It never changes. You know what changes? The buyer, the seller, the listing price, and things like that. But the same paragraphs, you always need to know what they are. Okay, so you, at home, get familiar with the as-is contract. So when you go to sit down with the buyer, you can explain to them exactly what they're signing, because it's not going to change. It's not going to change. I mean, it does, but you'll get familiar with it. It stays pretty similar.
Okay, so let's move to line 173. Home warranty. Let's just click on NA.
Correct. Because there isn't any home warranty. I mean, unless the buyers decide that they want to buy a home warranty package. But these are as-is contracts, are sold as is on resales. New construction is completely different.
Okay. So line 183 for special assessments. This is what we were discussing before. So what this means, this option, is that the seller will be responsible until the last day that he owns the property, and then from that day forward, the buyer is who's responsible for any special assessments.
Correct.
And from here, I'm just going to skip to
Yep.
page 5.
The important
so we can
items.
select
Sp-
how
Here we
many
go.
days for the inspection date.
7 days.
Okay.
7 days, yeah. I mean, me as a listing agent, imagine if you were to put 10 or 15 days there, you would scare the bejeebies out of me. Honestly, you would. Because you're telling me, take my property, my seller's property, off the market, take it off the market for 15 days to see if the buyer wants to purchase or not. No, I don't think so. The inspection companies are quick about getting inspections done. So, you know, they can get out there. I've seen them do it within 24 hours. So between 24, 48 hours, 72 hours, it's more than ample time. You don't want to take someone's property off the market. You know, you want it done quickly. So I think 7 days is more than ample time.
Let's just make it fair for all parties
Exactly.
involved.
Exactly.
So let's move to page 11 now, since we don't have to fill out anything else in the previous pages.
Now remember, even though we're skipping through these pages, you guys at watching our class here, you guys really need to know this assets contract. So I don't just read it. Read it once or twice. I promise you, by the third time that you actually go through it, you really know what's what and what paragraph is on where on what page. You know, because we're professionals, and we need to explain things correctly to our clients at all times.
Okay, so page 11, line 569, we're just going to go ahead and add, we're just going to click on letter A, which is condominium writers, and since there's an association, and that's about it. We said we were going to do a conventional loan.
Yep,
The
so
property's
conventional loans,
1990.
there is no addendum for that, but FHA there is. FHA there is. So this is conventional loan.
Condominiums don't allow it.
No, they don't.
Yeah, they don't. No. I mean, some do and some don't.
Yeah.
Some do and some don't. But the majority of them do not. They do not. Right. Now, this line 571 is if we want to get the seller to help out with, you know, let's say buyer's closing costs. So this is the place to put it in there. Say the buyer doesn't have quite the down payment. I mean, they've got the down payment, but they don't have quite the closing costs. So let's just say that the seller will contribute exactly $4,000 of buyer's closing costs and prepaids. Okay? So this is a place you want to put it in there.
Or if you know that already know upfront there's a permit that it's open, so just make sure you add it there that
Yeah.
the seller is going to be responsible to close
All
this,
open, right.
this permit prior to the closing at their expense. Just make sure everything it's very specific and detailed.
Right. That's very important. I hope you guys caught on to that. So you want to put in there that all open permits, okay, and violations, stuff like that, are going to be closed prior to the closing date by the seller. So any open permits, this is the place that you want to write that in, okay? And now we're almost done. Like I said, filling out an as-is contract, it's truly 10 minutes or less. And if you're taking more than 10 minutes, it's because you went and got a cup of coffee or something like that, or a tea.
So we're just missing line 617,
Okay?
and we're going to add how
The
much
commission.
the commission. Let me check.
You're going to look at the MLS report, and whatever the MLS report says,
So
that's
it's
exactly what the commission is going to be.
3%. So let's
So
just add
3%.
it.
Now I'm going to tell you guys why. And I had this scenario. Well, here, let me explain why. I had this scenario last night. We dealt with this for quite a few hours. Okay. The actual entity, because I don't want to say the entity that did the closing, did not give our realtor the full commission. Exactly. So here, because they missed it, the closing entity, not to mention who it is or so forth. At least here in the contract and in the MLS, it's telling you exactly what the commission is. So they can't miss it. And our realtor missed it as well too by not seeing and looking at the Alta. You know, you got to look at that CD, you got to look at that Alta, and make sure that everything's correct and accurate in it. He didn't look at it. So that was the one. I mean, we can go back. We can go back, especially when you have it on the contract like this here, because now it was that closing department, okay, that entity, I'm not going to say what it is, they should have seen it. The MLS report has it. The contract has it. It's 3%. So now we can go back and make sure we get your commission, okay? You're not, held short on your commission.
Okay.
So
So I'm
Now-
just gonna save
Exactly.
what we just did, and let's just go back. And we're gonna select all the documents that we need our buyers to sign.
Correct.
Let's go to e-sign.
Right.
And we have 2 buyers in this case.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna select both of them and create new session.
Again, an e-signing, preparing an e-signing and sending it out for it to be an e-sign, if you think a contract took, if I said a contract takes 10 minutes to fill out, doing an e-signing is less than 2 minutes. When you understand it, remember what we're doing right here is nothing more than a test trial. You should do how many test trials like this at home? As many as it takes for you to feel comfortable with it. E-signing is less than 2 minutes, and your client will sign it from the comfort of their home, whether they're at work, from a cell phone, a notepad, a laptop, they're going to be able to sign it. Because time is of the essence, especially in a market like today's market. We want to get that offer signed as quickly as possible so we can get over to the listing agent as quickly as possible. So now you don't have to wait for the client to come home from work. You're missing numerous hours and days. So while they're at work, they could just sign it. It literally takes 2 minutes. Now, it's going to take us a little bit more than 2 minutes to explain this because we're going to explain it, but you'll see how quickly you go through it. So we're going to e-signing.
Okay, so once this page pops up,
Yep.
let's click on the first click here that you see,
The top one always.
and let's write in the subject offer for, and I like to put the property address
Correct.
and just a short message to
Yeah.
the buyers.
Listing agent. I'm sorry, it's just to the buyer. Now, while she's typing this out, let me show you guys something. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tabs we're going to go through. Those tabs are going to be done in less than 2 minutes. That's how quick it is. But you got to go through to it.
Okay, so right before I continue, this signer sequencing, I like doing send to all signers at once. So whoever's available first, they can just go ahead and sign. They don't have to wait for other parties to
Right.
sign. So I'm just gonna go ahead and click that and go next.
Correct? See, we're on the second one already.
We've got our 2 buyers already. I'm just gonna select both.
Now, show them real quickly if, for example, if we want to move them, you know, who's first or second on the contract on how we could.
Since I just selected that
Randomly.
it will
Okay,
get
you're fine.
for all of them at the same time, it won't let me
Exactly.
do sequence.
Yep, you're right. Yeah,
If not, you will see around here, you'll see like a little
box.
box, and you can just select if you want to be the first one or the second
Right.
one to sign.
You just switch
It's
it.
very
It'll say
simple.
1 or 2. So whoever's the second signer, you can switch them around. The first signer put them on 1, second signer put it on 2.
Yeah, it's just a very friendly.
Yeah, very user friendly.
Let's just go next. And it's going to ask me who's buyer number 1 and who's buyer number 2. So I'm just going to select from our buyers and click next
Correct?
and click yes. And we're like half through now.
Oh, we're almost
Halfway
done.
through, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to select both documents and let's click next again.
Now the system is automatically gonna knows exactly where every initial, where every signature, and where every date goes. So as you look at it through here now, you go down, see, take a look at that. Right there is your buyer's initials. So it's gonna know exactly where it's gonna be initials are gonna go at, or signatures and so forth. So you can go through it, you know, like we're doing here, or you can go right to next.
You can just review it once.
Yeah,
It gives you another opportunity just to check
Exactly.
if you missed something. It's gonna show you same thing. I'm just gonna click on next.
Because that was just a review page.
And then it gives you the last chance to just add something if you forgot
Yes.
to add for their email. I'm just gonna click finish.
Exactly. And here is an example of what your client's going to receive, okay? This is exactly what your client's going to receive via email or via text or through your phone. So what your client's going to do is first select a signature. For example,
Adopt one.
yeah, adopt a signature. Let's say I kind of like that one. That's pretty good. So I'm going to choose that one there, and I'm going to hit agree and start. Watch how quickly this goes. This is your client signing the actual offer. So they're going to go up there, see where it says start, and click on start. Now this is really important. Have your client, especially when they're doing this with their hand, okay, on their cell phones, when they click inside the box, just to be patient until the initials show up and then hit next. What a lot of clients will do is they'll click inside the box, hit next, and they skipped it, and it'll never work. Tell them to click on it, and it takes about a second for the initials to pop up. So it's box next, and just keep going. This is your client. See how that one took a moment? They have to wait until the initials show up. Truly, to write an offer and submit an offer, it takes minutes. Yeah. We've taken a little bit of time here because we were actually explaining it to you guys, but truly, it's within minutes. It won't work. Yeah. That's why tell your clients to make sure they see the name or the date pop up first, or the initial, before they hit the box next.
If they didn't fill in all the blanks,
Right.
it's
They're not
not going to allow you. And
Exactly.
then the way you'll know it's already done, it's because you'll have like a pop-up message, and you just have to click yes. I'm going to show you as soon as this one pops up.
There it is.
Here. So it says all required fields have been completed. So if it doesn't appear, it means you're missing something. So just click yes.
Yep. We are
And we're all done.
almost done. Yes. But I want to show you guys how quickly it is now for you guys as the realtors to send it to the listing agent. So you're going to go into your transactions, correct? And as soon as it opens up, give it a sec. You're going to select the documents, and we're going to send it. We're going to send that offer immediately to the listing agent. Look at this. We've done all this within just minutes. Actually, it's taken minutes. So we're going to open up our transaction. Now, if you want to go into the actual MLS report and copy paste the email, the listing agent's email, go down. There it is. So what we're going to do, copy paste. We're going to go back into our transactions, and we're going to select the documents that we're going to send the listing agents. And then see right there where it says email, click email, paste, and now you'll write a message, offer or whatever nice polite message you want to write, okay? But I want to show you guys one more thing that I want you to do before you send it. See this section right here, all this is got in there, just delete that whole section. Just go out there and read it. Now you want to put in, here's an offer and whatever message you want to send. I mean, of course, we're not going to write out a full, letter, but just give you an example. And then go down, and all you do is hit, now we're not going to send it. Hit send email. We're not going to send it because the listing agent is going to think we're nuts. Sending. Well, they might think they have an offer on it, so we're not going to send it. But that's truly about it. So I appreciate it very much. I guess you guys have a question? Okay. I appreciate it very much, everyone, being in tune with us. We'll have another class coming up. So remember, on Facebook, hit like. On YouTube, hit subscribe and notifications so you guys will be notified of our upcoming classes. But thank you very much for being in tune with us. Thank you guys for being here.
Thank you.